know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking. You are thinking, hey, what happened to the morning show? Well, I'm on Vulcan time this morning. How about that? I hope you had a wonderful weekend, though. You're tuning to the morning show of yours truly, Dex the Algo Capitalist. Thank you for joining. I'm not going to hold you long. We're going to make this nice and quick. But there's a lot going on in the world, folks. And every day that goes by, we are inching a little bit closer to the November election. This election has all the earmarks of being contentious, and we need to prepare to expect the unexpected. A lot of infighting. Everyone wants to be the chief, everyone wants to be in power. People that are currently in power don't want to give up power, yada, yada, yada. That's what it is right now. That is what we are facing. That is what we are dealing with. That's what we have to contend with. So then, what does it all mean? Why are we seeing this happening, and why now? And one of the reasons behind the why now is because there is a lot at stake. Okay, a lot at stake. All right. And at the end of the day, we still don't know what we don't know. We don't know how things are going to pan out. We can have an idea, but at the end of the day, things tend to go the way they go. For instance, case in point, this week is full of government reports. And let's say that due to some type of glitch in the matrix, a little bird from a parallel universe comes and lands on your shoulder and says, I have the results of every report that's going to come out this week, and I am willing to give them to you right now. And the little birdie on your shoulder starts whispering in your ear what the results of all the reports that are coming out this week are. You are happy. The bird flies away. You never see the bird again. And you're happy because a talking bird from a parallel universe landed on your shoulder and gave you what the government report results were going to be before they come out. So now you know what they are. But here's what you don't know. What you don't know is that this knowledge will do little to nothing for you. And the reason being is because you don't know the market's response to the data. Historically speaking, markets have rallied on horrific news, bad news, terrible news. Likewise, markets have collapsed on great news, terrific news. So you don't know what the response in the market is going to be. The market could just ignore any bad news or ignore any good news. You don't know. And that's what we're dealing with right now. We don't know a lot of what the unintended consequences of the government's actions will be, but we just know that there will be unintended consequences. We know there will be collateral damage. We do know that some in power believe that the end results justify the means. So when they lock down the global economy and blame their actions in doing so on an epidemic, the people believed them. And they were successful in duping the people and thinking that the only reason why you're suffering today is because of a virus, because of an illness, because of a disease that threatened to take out the world. And so what did they do? They did something they've never done in the history of the world. The nations of the world got together and agreed to shut down the global economy. Now, put your head together, put on your thinking cap, wrap your brain around this fact. You can't get two countries to agree on what to have at a picnic or a cookout, more or less what to do concerning their well being, which is their economy, their country's economy. They all agreed in unison to shut down the global economy. That is analogous to being captured in war. You're about to be taken prisoner, all right? You're about to be captured, and instead of letting yourself be captured, you decide to off yourself, fall on your sword. So all the nations of the earth decided they were going to fall on their swords and commit financial suicide. And that is the unintended consequence result of which the world is dealing with today, especially the United States. The United States is being hurt the most, the worst, getting the worst end of this. And as a one world government, because that's basically what we saw in action these past few years, as a one world government flexing its muscles, showing the world that it has arisen and is alive and well and can sway its will. Whatever its will is, it has the power to bring it to be. And in so doing, the world has now accumulated over $315 trillion of debt. And now we're facing global events that will bring this all crashing down like a house of cards, built on a sandy beach with 150-mile-per-hour Category 5 hurricane winds. How long do you think that card house built on the sand of the beach is going to stand? You're not going to understand it until it hits you. Okay? Just think about it. The nations of the world have piled up this much debt. And I don't think we'll ever see a mountain of debt of this magnitude ever again, especially after it all comes crashing down. Even though delinquency rates are rising all over the world, as long as conditions remain at least somewhat relatively stable, the game will be able to continue. But unfortunately, conditions won't relatively stable for long, not for long. Global events have started to accelerate significantly, and that is really going to shake things up in the months ahead. According to a report by the Institute of International Finance, the total amount of debt in the world has reached a grand total of $315 trillion. Yes, this global debt wave has been the biggest, fastest, and most wide ranging rise in debt since World War II, coinciding with the C-19. This increase marks the second consecutive quarterly rise and was primarily driven by emerging markets, where debt surged to an unprecedented high of over $105 trillion, $55 trillion more than a decade ago. We are in the midst of the greatest global debt binge in the history of the world. Household debt is at a level we have never seen before. Business debt is at a level we have never seen before. And government debt is at a level we have never seen before. Of the 315 trillion debt stock, household debt, which includes mortgages and credit cards and student debt, among others, amount to about 59.1 trillion. Business debt, which corporations use to finance their operations and growth, stood around 164.5 trillion. with the financial sector alone making up 70.4 trillion of that amount. Public debt made up of the rest of this was around 91.4 trillion. So for the moment, conditions are at least somewhat relatively stable, so to speak. And so it would appear that everything seems fine, but it won't take much to push things over the edge. Yeah, I hope you guys are paying attention and taking the necessary precautions because things are going to get very, very, very scary. And they already are. They already have, if you really want to, go there. They really already have. Let me remind you, like, did you know that during the Great Depression, they were called Hoovervilles or Hoover houses? But today, America's shanty towns are called Bidenvilles. Did you know that? Well, to those at the bottom of America's economic pyramid, it feels like the economy has already collapsed. When you can't afford to put a roof over your head and you barely have enough food to eat, nothing else really matters. During the Great Depression of the 1930s, millions of homeless Americans created large shanty towns known as Hoovervilles all over America. Unfortunately, we're witnessing the same thing today. Our homeless population is rapidly exploding, and those that have nowhere to live are creating shelters for themselves out of wood, cardboard boxes, tents, tarps, construction materials, and whatever else they can find. In some cases, very large shantytown communities are being established and they are primarily populated by young adults. During the Great Depression from 1929 to 1933, 48% of the nation was homeless. 48%. Living with relatives or in shanty towns or Hoovervilles. Today, between 47 and 52% of young adults are homeless, living with parents or shelters, a direct result of Biden's radical overspending, energy and immigration policies, inflation, and high interest rates, turning America into a giant Bidenville. One Bidenville that has been called getting a lot of attention recently is located in Oakland, California. A video of that Bidenville that was posted on social media shows massive temporary houses built along service roads. Shocking footage has emerged showing a gigantic shantytown that has sprung up in Oakland as the California city slide into crime ravaged squalor continues. Michael Oxford, the host of Cali Base, posted a video on May 31st of a massive temporary housing built along service roads that open up into main roads in Hooverville, Oakland. The footage showed trash strewn around, scores of houses that were built of wood, tap, and other discarded materials. It was really sad, folks. The man that shot the video, Michael Oxford, used the term absolute squalor to describe the conditions that he witnessed firsthand. Particularly shocking was just how large the shanty town is, with a lengthy stretch of road in the Bay Area city covered with the makeshift dwellings. Oxford could be heard calling the area a shanty town that is absolutely mind boggling as he remarked how insane it is that city officials allow this. He captioned the video, "Parts of Oakland are worse than a third world country. They just allow people to live in absolute squalor wherever they choose." If you live in wealthy America, you may never even drive into areas where people are living like this. Your reality may be filled with three-line streets and rich people sipping coffee. But in the worst areas of Oakland, those areas without tree-lined streets and people sipping coffee and lattes, Well, the lawlessness never ends. In fact, authorities in Oakland recently removed traffic lights at one major intersection and replaced them with stop signs because thieves were constantly stealing copper wire from the electrical boxes. The city of Oakland recently removed traffic lights from one busy intersection and replaced them with stop signs after the electrical boxes that controlled the traffic lights were repeatedly tampered with and copper from them was stolen. Local residents and those who own businesses in the area say the issue with the traffic lights stems from the nearby homeless encampment, which has grown over the years. The owner of a vehicle repair shop on the corner of the intersection, Tam Lee, said the city is signaling that it is giving up on us by installing the stop signs. If you want someone to blame for this mess, you can blame the politicians in Washington. Thanks to the horrific inflation that they have created, approximately a quarter of the population in California is either living in poverty or is very close to living in poverty. Biden needn't worry about losing California to Trump, but it has one of the nation's highest rates of inflation, according to Moody's Analytics, worsening its already outlandishly high cost of housing and other living expenses. It's the biggest factor in California having the highest level of functional poverty of any state, 13.2% according to the U.S. Census Bureau, about 50% higher than the national rate. Now, the Public Policy Institute of California, using similar statistical methodology, has found that a quarter of Californians are either living in poverty or financially close to living in poverty. More recently, the PPIC has explored the impact of inflation, especially on California families which struggle to pay for housing, food, and other necessities. Sadly, this is just the beginning because the U.S. economy is going downhill rapidly. In May, pending home sales plunged to a depressingly low level. Well, the analysts had the direction right, but magnitude was way off as pending home sales plunged 7.7% month over month, the biggest drop since February of 2021, and below the lowest estimate, leaving sales down 0.7% year over year. This is the 29th straight month of year over year declines for non seasonally adjusted pending home sales. This month over month decline pushed the pending home sales index back to record lows. Meanwhile, Zero Hedge reported that Chicago PMI index fell so low in May that it suggested that the economy is in a depression. After unexpectedly slumping last month to 37.9%, the Chicago PMI index cratered even more unexpectedly in May when it defied hopes of a rebound to 41.5 and instead tumbled even more, sliding to a cycle low of 35.4, which was not only below the lowest estimate, but was staggeringly low. To get a sense of just how low, the last two times it printed here was during the peak of the C-19 epidemic and the global financial crisis of 2008, which seems to suggest that, at least according to Chicago-based purchasing managers, the economy is in a depression. I would have to agree with that assessment. Things are getting really bad out there, folks. Really bad. Let me just take a pause and say, what up to my bro, my little bro. Thanks, man, for the support. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Yeah, man, the reports keep coming in, man, that Cali is living foul. It's not going well. Now, to top all this off, in May, the Dallas Fed Service Sector Survey was in contraction territory for the 24 months in a row. Despite Bernstein and Biden demanding the great unwashed realize just how great they have it in America, well, the Dallas Fed Service Sector Survey offers some insights from actual real people in the actual real world trying to do actual real business, and it's not looking good. For 2 straight years, which is 24 straight months, the Texas service sector has been in contraction below zero, with May's at negative 12.1 print, worse than expected. For context, the Great Recession of 0809 also saw 24 straight months of negative prints. But if you live in wealthy America, you may not care about these numbers because you still live in a nice home and you still have plenty of nice things, maybe a nice pension, or maybe you're one of the lucky ones with a nice job that pays you a livable wage. But unfortunately, the number of people that can't afford to live in wealthy America is shrinking with each passing day. And the gap between the wealthy and the rest of everyone else just continues to get larger and larger. Ultimately, the stage is being set for a social meltdown of absolutely epic proportions. The bottom 50% of the population only owns just 2.6% of all the wealth, and they are becoming very restless. When people have nothing left to lose, they become very desperate, and very desperate people do very desperate things. Remember, the most dangerous man on earth is a desperate man, especially one that believes they have nothing to lose. So they will risk it all because to them, they're already finished. In their minds, I'm finished. Woe is me, I'm done. Well, folks, this is only going to get worse, and this is just the beginning. So strap in because we're going to focus down this deep rabbit hole this week, Lord willing. And on that note, remember, the system works if you work the system. Bulls make money, bears make money, and pigs get what? Slaughtered. So remember to take what you can and give nothing back. And on that note, I'm out. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Share the content with others, but you never know who it may help or encourage or inform. And with that, I'm outie. Peace.